Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Carmela Mondino, and I'm responsible for ESG and sustainability here at Partners Group. I have been with the firm for 4.5 years, and I coordinated a team of 5 professionals that work along our investment teams and our investments on ESG integration.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Partners Group has been actively engaged in sustainability since 2006 and signed the United Nations Supported Principles for Responsible Investment in 2008. What ESG considerations are most relevant for Partners Group at present?
Well, our considerations are driven by our vision of building sustainable businesses. And basically this is all linked to the G on ESG. Being a private markets investor, we have unique governance rights. We can really set the direction of where these companies are going and improve the performance in general, including ESG factors. And in order to do this, there are 3 things that we think are key. So the first one is to really embed ESG as part of the strategy of our companies. Number 2 is to focus on the things that are going to be the most impactful for the companies. And in order to demonstrate this impact, that links to the third pillar of our vision, is to quantify and be transparent about the impact that we have, to hold ourselves accountable, and doing the same with our partners, so the portfolio companies.
And how do you address climate change issues at Partners Group?
Well, that's a really good question, and it's really good that you bring it up, because we just launched our latest corporate sustainability report, which is available on our website, just as a lot of materials on what we do on ESG. And in our strategy, we are really explaining how we built on the experience that we developed working on the E of ESG for all these years. And now we have a more systematic approach to addressing climate change topics in our companies. Now this strategy we're launching, it's aligned with TCFD, and is making 2 key commitments. The number 1 is that as a corporate, we are committed to being net zero ourselves. This is for scope 1, scope 2, and also for key scope 3 that we generate. And the idea is that we can be the best possible example for our portfolio companies, right? And we're already doing this. We use renewable energy in our larger offices. We offset 100% of our travel-related emissions. So really, we want to speak from our experience when we talk to our portfolio companies. And then the other big commitment is, as I said, on the portfolio level. That's where we can make the biggest difference. And we are committed to managing our portfolio in line with the Paris Agreement. And this in practice means, well, first of all, selecting investments and understanding what their current contribution is to climate change, but also what we can do to improve this contribution, and also thinking about risk and how climate change can have an impact on our investments and how these risks can be mitigated. And then, of course, in line with our pillars, we have a reporting objective as well. So I invite everyone to visit our website and take a look, and happy to get any feedback you may have.
Could you please shed some light on your key focus areas with respect to social matters at Partners Group and progress that you have made so far?
Yes, of course. We are particularly looking into how our activities have a positive impact on the societies we operate in. And as part of this, we're working on a series of initiatives. The first one is our stakeholder benefits program, which is basically looking into sharing the value we create through our value creation programs with our portfolio company employees in order to help them grow from a professional, personal, or financial perspective. The idea is that by increasing our focus as an employees, we can attract better talent. This will help build better companies, and ultimately we will have a higher multiple at exit. We're having a pilot at the moment in 3 portfolio companies, and we will have more information on this towards the summer. Another area of focus is related to diversity and inclusion, which is a huge topic in the financial industry. We have a lack of diverse talent, but we see that also in our portfolio companies that is the case. We have been working with the portfolio companies for many years now, and we have been able to, for instance, increase the percentage of female representation from 20 to 26% in 3 years. But we need a more systematic approach if we want to make a significant progress. And to that, what we are doing is basically analyzing some companies that are particularly advanced on the topic, like Civica, our software company in the UK. They have been ranked by the Financial Times as one of the most inclusive companies in Europe. And basically we're taking the learnings we made with them and applying them throughout the portfolio. And the third big topic is, of course, how we support portfolio company employees to go through the pandemic. Early last year, we set up a 10 million franc fund that was basically used to support employees that had any kind of financial hardship due to personal or family issues. And this is something that we're still distributing and hopefully helped relieve our portfolio company employees.
Please give us a bit of background to the ESG dashboards which you use to track ESG KPIs across companies.
Of course. We started putting together our ESG dashboards around 3 years ago, basically building on this huge database that we have on ESG performance of our companies. The idea is that through our dashboards, we can really report, but also steer the ESG performance of our portfolio companies on the most material ESG topics, such as energy consumption, health and safety on the social side, or for instance, cybersecurity on the governance angle. Now, we have connected these KPIs to materiality, and this is what you see with a different color coding, because for us, it's important that a company focuses on what is the most material to their industry. And this materiality is something that we defined using as a base the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board's principles, but also our own knowledge and the conversations with our companies. We have also some metrics that are actually maturity assessments, because we didn't want to have a column that just said, well, there's an environmental policy, yes or no. We wanted to give more information. So we rate each company from 1 to 4 in a series of topics to be able to demonstrate how they make progress on these things that are more qualitative rather than quantitative, right? And what I think is really a demonstration of our commitment towards transparency is that for all assets that have been in the portfolio for at least 1 year, we have an arrow indicating how the performance of this year compares against the year before. So it's something we're really, really proud of, and that we think is quite innovative. We haven't seen other players in the industry having something similar. And actually, we think this is something that also positions us in a great place to drive the ESG data conversation in private markets.
What major ESG challenges do you see at your portfolio companies, and how do you approach them?
Well, we just cover data. And ESG data is always a challenge, especially for a lot of the companies we acquire, because they may not have the systems in place to track this data and report it. So we spend a lot of time, especially in the first year, to set up these systems or share best practice on how they can gather this data. I think the second challenge is that, you know, we come into these companies and the management teams, they have really ambitious value creation plans. And ESG is one item as part of this agenda, but we need to make sure that it is given the right place, right? So that it's in the right place in the priority list. So that's why it's really important to focus on materiality. It's really important to have the right governance, you know, even connect performance to remuneration to really demonstrate our commitment so that the management teams can dedicate the necessary time to it.
And finally, what are your priorities for ESG and sustainability in 2021?
Well, we covered most of them. I would say, you know, on the environmental side, climate change is only becoming more and more important. We are gonna, during the course of the year, we're trying to understand what this to the Paris Agreement means for our portfolio companies, right? And again, we like pilots at Partners Group, so we have a small pilot that we are running to try to understand what this implies and what would be what resources are necessary for aligning the companies to the Paris Agreement. Number two, diversity and inclusion. As I said, we made great progress in the past, but now we really need to demonstrate it. And also, I think, you know, we have been focusing on gender diversity, but now we need to expand it to other minorities. And the third item is related to reporting. Especially in Europe, there are many regulatory requirements pushing for additional transparency. So we're expanding our reporting to make it compliant with the regulation, and hopefully this is something that will benefit our clients globally.